Welcome, horror fans, to HHN365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. As always, my name is Mike, and I'm here with my co-host, Duff.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, Duff?
Not bad.
And we also have Nico, our, is he our producer at this point?
Yeah, producer.
Yeah, producer sounds about right.
Field tech.
Friend.
Buddy old pal.
Chief Technology Officer.
New haunt boy.
Yeah, new haunt boy.
General public as of last episode, apparently.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Residential improver.
Yes, that's true too. These are all good things to describe me by.
He's going to be with us for not every segment of the show, but some of the segments of the show.
He pops in.
He's
like that.
Yeah, if y'all talk about Simpsons, I'm definitely hopping back in.
Well, that won't happen, but it's okay.
Yeah. But he's here for now, and he'll be here later.
Yeah.
So on this show, we have our part 2 of our predictions, and that's going to lead into our speculation map. Mm-hmm. But then also inside of it, we're going to put a little bit of a trivia segment. The last trivia segment has been
matchup before the finals.
We've recorded it. It's going to be kind of spliced in, I would say, the middle.
Yeah, because even before that, we have a few segments. Our new recurring segment that we told you would be recurring.
Yeah.
And then some news as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get into that first segment.
First we have some housekeeping. I wanted to mention that if I sound different, I do have walking pneumonia at the moment. So if you hear any wheezing or if I start to laugh, you'll definitely notice it. And then if you hear like coughing in the background, that's just me. So apologize. I'll do my
we'll
best.
try to keep it to a minimum.
Yeah,
we'll make sure that it sounds good when it comes out.
Yeah.
The magic of media.
Yeah. Nico has to do his magic on this one. And then, let's get to that recurring segment.
Yeah. Go ahead. We're doing this for the first time in this way, so patience with us, but we're going to try it. All right.
So we're going to have a little intro for it.
Yeah, we're going to say it together.
Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Mike done fucked up.
Okay,
that
so
could have been better, but it's okay.
And we'll work it. We'll have a little soundbite.
You didn't blow out the mics as much that time, so we're good. We're good there.
Hey, don't let them know we mess up.
We recorded it a couple.
We are
times.
perfect, Nico.
Well, on this segment of Mike Done Fucked Up, if you listen to my last episode, and you know HHN pretty well, you probably know what I'm going to refer to. I believe Nico was talking about Hard Rock Cafe and themed entertainment, and I happened to say I was thinking a certain band, and came out of my mouth a totally different band. And Nico, do you remember what band I said?
I don't recall. What did you say?
I believe I said Herman's Hermits played at the HHN.
You did say Herman's Hermits.
Played at Fright Nights.
That's what I thought you said. Yeah, like the...
So in my mind, I was thinking the correct band that played at Fright Nights, and that was Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Oh, okay. It's very common to get those. It's like them, the Turtles, and Herman's Hermits. Those three like always get mixed together.
But no one corrected me, so no one has. So I just listened to for quality control. I do listen to them, and I heard myself say, "I'm like, that's not right." And so I was totally
it was
wrong.
very believable, to be honest with you.
I mean,
I mean, Duff done fucked up too because he didn't know the difference.
Yeah, Duff didn't correct me.
I just let you go. I mean, mainly because I didn't know.
None of the general public corrected me.
Yet.
Yeah, I'm sure people were about to. Yeah.
I mean, if you would have,
I'm sure people knew that I was totally wrong.
like,
if you would have said
Yeah,
like the
like
Monkees, I would have questioned it. But Herman's Hermits is a little out there, and it looks like they were desperate for money anyway. So it sounded legitimate to me.
Yeah, Paul Revere and the Raiders, though. We like to consider ourselves members of the media press, and so we hold ourselves. Yeah, I mean, we're not fake news, right? We try to hold ourselves to an editorial standard.
Would you say fair and balanced?
Yes.
Maybe not balanced, but fair.
No, yeah, definitely not balanced. We have our own opinions, but we do want to correct any sort of
misspoken statements.
any sort of infactual thing that comes out of our mouth. We want to correct it. So if you hear us say anything completely wrong, which I'm sure 100 times you will moving forward, just shoot us a little DM and we will correct it.
And if you hear me say anything wrong, just mind your own damn business. I'm kidding. No. Still send the DM.
Yeah, so
I care about our quality.
I'm Mike done fucked up, or Duff done fucked up, or any one of our guests. We probably
Nico done fucked up a lot.
Won't maybe call out our guests.
if it's Nico, we can call him out.
Yeah, you can call me out. It's fine.
Yeah, but
I need to be brought down a few pegs anyway, so it's all good.
anyway.
That's true.
So yeah, news. We have some news.
Rumors more than news.
Yeah,
but yeah,
news and
correct.
rumors,
Yeah. So first, we want to talk about what Legacy dropped on the forums.
Yeah, you go ahead.
So we've talked about how he does these clues, and everyone on the forums figures it out. This is inside Universal Forums, by the way, if you want to go check it out. The newest one that has been figured out is that, and he clarified exactly that it's rumored to be an 11th house location, and it's Cafe La Bamba.
Oh wow.
Yeah, interesting, right?
Yeah. We
Um,
want to discuss it for a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit. So, first thought, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think this is crazy.
That's like, I understand like that used to be the case where they had to like find space wherever they could. Times have changed a bit. But also when you looked at the fact that it's an anniversary year, bring it back to that kind of old school house where they work around. It's kind of naturally claustrophobic.
I mean, it's possible, but isn't it used by ops currently?
Yes. So he also clarified that. He said, if Ops needs it or wants it, but they need it for the event itself, they're going to tell Ops to go fuck themselves and they can find something else.
So, ops I think currently uses it for like RIP.
Yeah, RIP,
like,
the check-in, the reception.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like their meal.
Yeah.
Right, that they get.
I think there's multiple spaces you could use for that anyways, though. I don't think that'd be a big deal. Again, if creative or A&D decides that they want that space, doesn't matter what Ops wants. Ops isn't getting it.
I mean, it's a cool space, especially if they were trying to something to do like old Hollywood or something. You know, it's a cool space. It could fit. I think the only reason why they would use La Bamba is, like you said, they either had a really, they had a theme house that would fit really well in it, or like you said, they need that really claustrophobic feel.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't really thought about this aspect of it. Like, where else would they put a house? I know there are other locations, so it would be an odd choice, though, still. Even because you could just kind of make that claustrophobic feel without being limited, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it would be interesting. I don't know if I buy into it. Actually, you guys will probably find out later if we buy into it because of our speculation map.
You will find out. You'll find
So,
out
yeah,
shortly.
so you can wait to find out exactly what we think of this.
All right, and then do we have any other rumors?
Yes. On Twitter, we have the Riddler that is a polarizing figure in the community,
Yeah.
apparently. Ifrit, the guy who just pops up every, 11 months and does some riddles.
Yeah, he has a lot of
disappears.
stuff to drop that we haven't talked about.
Yeah. Well, I think he only has two. So we'll go over the one that was from, 2 weeks ago? No, not even yet. But basically, it was split into two tweets, and I'm just going to read them off. One is a warning we will give. Our game this year may be short-lived. Second tweet. Rumor speaks about a return of legends that we crave and yearn. And if we find that it is true, we'll step aside, give them their due.
So, what do you think, Duff? What do you think that means?
So I think the tough thing is this two separate clues or riddles, or is it one tied together? Is it one that kind of has like two different parts?
Or is the first one basically just saying he doesn't have a lot of information and he's not going to be dropping a lot of hints?
Could
and he
just be
wants
short-lived,
He just
yeah.
wants to get him out early.
Or could it be that he's saying something's coming sooner? Who knows?
Who knows?
But to the second part, to me it sounds kind of like he's saying icons. That was my thought.
I've heard both Icons, which was what I'm leaning toward, or Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted's kind of fit his ones before too.
Right.
Kind of fits this one. I think this sounds more like icons though.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, legends, icons.
Yeah, the Legends of Horror, and like it fits.
Yeah, step aside, give them their due. Kind of like they'll be the icons again,
Right.
of the event rather than an IP.
Now, are
headlining.
they IP icons like the Legends of Horror, like we've seen where they're like Michael Myers, Freddy, Those ones.
Could be. I mean,
Jason.
there's nothing.
Those are kind of the legends of war.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it doesn't really specify one way or the other just in this riddle. I'd personally think HHN icons specifically, original icons. Jack, caretaker, storyteller, director, usher,
I think those are the icons of the legends that people are yearning for.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. I think everyone wants Eddie to have his own event, probably. That would be cool. Yeah. Cindy to have her own event.
And then I've also seen speculation about being short-lived. Some people are speculating that the announcements are going to come really, really early this year. And possibly part of... I think we haven't talked about Peacock Live. Have we talked about Peacock Live on the show?
Did we mention it?
We did not mention it on the last one. No, we did not.
We may have said the name, but I don't think we've gone into details at all if we have.
So, yeah, if you are... I'm sure if you're aware of what Peacock Live if you're listening to the show, but if you're not, Peacock Live is an event that's being held in Universal Studios Hollywood backlot, and it's focusing mostly on NBC Universal content. They are having a couple of panels that have to do with
they have a
Horror
Nights. They have a Halloween Horror Nights panel specifically as well.
Yes, and so there's a lot of speculation that we'll get a lot more information about the event than we have before early on because of this event, and that we'll get some big announcements.
Could we get? Could we get multiple? Could they release the whole event? Some people are saying.
So that's what people are speculating.
I don't think that would happen. I think they could drop the first announcement because they're gonna have representatives from the creative team for each park, so they could do like first announcement for everyone.
Yeah, so a good way to think of Peacock Live, it's D23 for Universal's IPs.
Right.
You know, like we're going to see Fast and Furious, we're going to see that. I'm along there with you as someone who has been to one of those like fan events. They probably will say something along the lines of announcing. They will definitely announce something regarding this year's Horror Nights, and they'll probably also announce the Jurassic Park coaster that's going into Universal Orlando as well.
I was going to do the joke that it was the D23 that no one asked for, but then I realized that back when D23 came out, no one asked for that either, and it's kind of turned into something that people like. I don't know if you guys remember when D23 first announced, people thought it was the craziest shit ever.
Yeah, it was. And
it wasn't very good the first couple of years.
Oh, no. I mean, it actually was good the first couple of years, and later it's become trash.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that's due to the capacity levels and it being absolutely
they will sell tickets
batshit crazy right now.
Exactly. I don't think Peacock Live is going to be as much of a shit show as D23 is, at least operations-wise, because it looks like they're all holding it. Looks like it's almost all like NBC Universal handling
this
that.
thing is thrown together so late, too. You can tell. There's a lot of information missing. There's a lot of gaps in what's happening. And, it's their first year, and they kind of threw it together a little late, it seems. So.
Oh, you mean you're not excited for the Olympics panel? The Olympics panel. That is an actual thing that's going to be happening.
It's the thing, yeah.
An Olympics panel.
I mean, apparently they have, like, American Ninja Warrior. We get to try some of it yourself. I do want to do that. Yeah, so Ifrit, Riddler guy, has another one that we haven't covered yet. And it is, rumor says that we may face weeds, a raft wherein oil slick feeds. The dead awaken from their sleep, and panic comes when they creep.
This one's more straightforward. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's Creep Show.
It's Creep Show.
The question is it Creep Show, Creep Show 2, Creep Show the TV series?
Creep Show 2 would be right on the nose, right?
Yeah, that's like direct.
Right.
But was he just trying to say Creep Show?
Right.
Like, that's what we don't...
Right.
I think... I don't know. It's strange that he'd pick a riddle that's so like, well, that was obvious. You know? Like, usually it's not like that.
Yeah, no offense to Ifrit, it's hard to kind of figure out what he's doing. That's why I think he's so polarizing.
He's also polarizing because his
stuff
track record's kind of low compared to a lot of other insiders. I quotated with my fingers in case you were wondering. So yeah, I don't know. It makes sense. We had Creep Show last year in Hollywood. It was well received from what we've heard.
Yeah, people loved it.
We didn't make it out to Hollywood last year, but Wouldn't be the first time something's gone from one coast to the other in back-to-back years. So maybe. And it would be kind of fitting for an anniversary year in Orlando. Creepshow, or the Crypt Keeper, has been an icon, an IP icon of the event before.
Yeah. I mean,
It makes sense.
it makes sense.
But is that him just kind of taking a shot in the dark, or who knows? Again, when you see our speculation map, you'll see,
We'll see.
if we agree
Yeah.
with that rumor.
Yeah. All right. That's all the news and housekeeping. So let's take a quick break. I think next up is trivia, and then after trivia, we go right back into the rest of our predictions.
Also, real quick before we go to trivia, trivia was recorded before this new equipment.
Right.
So it's going to be the very last segment we have with the older equipment. So the quality is going to be not as bad as some of the previous episodes, but a definite drop from here. All right, so let's transition over to trivia here. How about that?
All right, let's do it.
Welcome back, horror fans. All right, Duff, let's get to our last round of trivia.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's it. So we got our 3 out of 4 finalists already set, and this is going to determine the final finalist. So today, once again, it's been a trend recently. We have 2 brand new guests who have never been on the show before. First, we have Dan. You can follow him at the Twitter account at DanBN7. Dan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Glad to have you on. And then we have Taylor as well. Taylor, how's it going?
So good, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us as well.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, and I know you guys know how the trivia works, but I'm going to go over it one more time for those listening. So basically, we give each player their own question, and it's going to go back and forth. Every right question is worth 2 points. If the player misses it, the other has a chance to steal. That'll be worth 1 point, and then we're going to 10 points. There is a 15-second time limit that we somewhat strictly, but kind of not enforce. But yeah, that's about it. Pretty simple trivia game. And I say we get right into it. How about that, Mike?
Let's do it.
And then I always flip a coin in, the fairest way possible, the coin you guys can't see, to see who gets to go first. And Dan, I'm going to let you call it.
I'll call tails. Let's go with that.
It is tails. So Dan, you're going to get the first shot at it.
All right, no pressure.
And then we have randomly selected the subject beforehand. This is going to be on Horror Nights 20 through 24 and everything within those.
Awesome.
All right. So question number 1 for Dan. In the house, the orphanage, Ashes to Ashes from HHN 20, what was the name of the featured burned down orphanage?
Was it Good Harvest? Oh, was it Good Harvest Orphanage? Final answer. I'm not super confident.
Well,
But
Good
that's-
Harvest Orphanage is correct.
Yes.
That is 2 points to Dan. He's going to jump out to an early lead with the first crack at it. All right. Now we are going to jump over to you, Taylor.
So good. Let's do it.
In Afterlife Death's Vengeance from HHN 23, it featured a serial killer. His name was Bobby Galetta. What was his nickname?
Oh my gosh. The Blade. I think it's the Blade.
Is that your final answer?
My final answer.
That is correct. It was Bobby
Yeah.
the Blade
Nice.
Galetta.
Cannot believe I
Nice.
remembered that.
Fun fact about Bobby the Blade Galetta is that many of his crimes took place in Cary, Ohio, which Horror Nights fans are well aware of.
Of course. The Hellmouth.
All right, so now it's going to be 2-2. And Dan, we are going to jump back to you with the chance to jump back out to the lead again.
All right.
All right, Dan. The HHN 21 Scare Zone 7 based its characters off of what?
Oh, that was the first scare zone I ever went through in my first year of Horror Nights. This is 7 Deadly Sins. Final
That
answer.
is correct. And then just for extra fun, can you name the 7 deadly sins?
Wrath, vanity, sloth, gluttony, lust, greed, and envy. Did I say envy twice? I
You
think
missed
that's it.
one there.
Oh gosh.
Since it's not a real answer, I'll just throw it out.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
missing
blanking.
Pride.
Pride. That's right.
You wouldn't have got extra points anyways. But thank
Yeah,
you for putting the effort into that.
No worries.
And that's going to put Dan up 4-2. And we are going to head back to Taylor with your second crack at it.
Okay.
Can you name the occupants of Sprung Tents 1 and 2 during HHN 24?
I feel like it's right there, but I don't know. I cannot remember.
Do you want to pass it on?
Do I want to? No, but do I need to? Yes.
All right, Dan, you have a chance to grab a point with a steal.
All right. If I remember correctly, it was Halloween and Dollhouse of the Damned. Could be
Is
wrong.
that your final answer?
Final answer.
That is correct. You get the steal, Dan.
Way to go, Dan.
Thank you.
That's
Halloween
gonna-
is still my favorite house of all time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just classic.
That was the best Halloween house they've had. I will agree with that
was
part.
really good.
That's definitely true.
All right, Dan, that's going to put you up 5-2, and we're coming back to you now.
All right.
What show appeared on the Beetlejuice stage during HHN 22?
That was 20 Penny Circus. If there was a subtitle, I don't remember, but it was 20 Penny Circus, the magic variety act. Final answer.
And that is correct. We weren't going to require a subtitle, but the subtitle for it was fully exposed. So if listeners don't know, this was a magic show, and it's actually the last magic show that was ever held on the Beetlejuice stage. And that's going to put Dan up 7-2. And then, Taylor, we're going to come back to you with a chance to get back into it here.
Let's do it.
In Legendary Truth, Wyandotte Estate from HHN 20, what was the name of the group that set up operation in the estate?
Oh, the Spirit Seekers. For sure.
With confidence, that is
With
correct.
confidence,
It was
yes.
the Spirit Seekers.
Nice.
Okay.
Right out of the gate.
The Spirit Seekers are a division of the Legendary Truth that have not been heard from since. So who knows what happened to them in the estate. And that's going to bring us to a closer 7-4 here. And you guys are kind of crushing it. So I think we're moving through pretty quick.
Amazing.
Let's see if we can stump you at some point. I don't know if this next one's going to be the one to do it. But Dan, we're coming to you.
Right.
Which show made its final HHN appearance at HHN 24?
I'm pretty sure it was the Rocky Horror Picture Show, a tribute, because they had it in 23 and then 24. Final answer.
That is correct, with the attribute added and all. The Rocky Horror Picture Show attribute appeared 5 times at Halloween Horror Nights, 17, 18, 19, 23, 24.
Duff has some stories about the AMC Rocky Horror.
We'll get into that in another podcast.
Another-
Oh man, I definitely want to listen to that one.
I'll tell you after. It's all right. All right, but that is going to put us at 9-4. Dan, you're only a point away from wrapping this up already, heading to the finals.
Sweating, Dan.
I'm making my palms sweaty, guys. I'm sorry, but you got this.
All right, Taylor.
Thanks for the encouragement. Okay, let's do it.
Don't give him a chance to steal.
Okay.
The Cabin in the Woods in HHN 23 featured a scare actor from another IP house that previously appeared at HHN. Which property was this? Five seconds.
Oh. I have no idea right now.
No idea? All right.
No
So
idea.
we're going to have to pass that on to Dan for the chance to steal and win.
Oh gosh, you said it was from another IP house.
I'll reread the question. The Cabin in the Woods in HHN 23 featured a scare actor from another IP house that previously appeared at HHN. Which property was it?
Oh gosh. I am blanking on this one, so I'm gonna say it just because it's fun to say. Fornicus, Lord of Bondage and Pain.
I appreciate the answer, but that is incorrect.
Nobody
It
blames you
was-
for that.
The correct answer was The Thing,
The thing.
Oh gosh.
The
which
thing.
previously appeared at HHN in 2011.
That's
Wow.
right. It was in the end, right? It was one of the monsters that was static in the cubes,
That's
right?
correct. I believe second to last room there.
You got us. That was a tricky one.
That was a tricky one. You were still pretty close, Dan.
It's just
Pretty much the same.
Yeah,
almost
not different at
So
all.
Yeah, no, nothing different about this.
All right, but we're coming back to you, Dan. It's your turn with the chance to win again. In HHN 21, Nevermore, The Madness of Poe, what two cities did Lady Luck give Edgar Allan Poe to choose to take a ship to?
I know one was Baltimore. I don't know. I think one was Baltimore. I'm gonna guess that the other one was Boston. Final answer.
Boston and Baltimore are correct. And Dan, that puts you at 11 points, and that is the win. That's going to send you into the finals.
Good job.
Thank you guys. Good job, Taylor.
Yeah,
Good job,
Taylor.
Dan.
You did
Absolutely. Great
Still
job,
rock.
Taylor.
great. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We really appreciate your time. Taylor, again, thank you so much. You did a great job. Dan, congratulations. You'll join the other three finalists. We'll get in touch and when we're going to set that up. I hope everyone listening has been enjoying the matchups and hopefully enjoys the finals even
Yeah.
more. Again, guys, thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
Thank you
we'll
so
be
much.
back in a couple weeks with the final, and we'll be right back with another segment in the show.
Yep. See you guys soon.
Take care.
Welcome back, horror fans. I hope you enjoyed the last trivia segment. We'll have our final trivia segment coming here in a couple weeks. We do have to get that one. It's going to take a little bit. We do have to get 7 people all on the same page because
Yep.
we have the 4 contestants, us 2, and then we definitely need a producer.
Yeah, Nick, you need to be there for that
to
one.
make this happen. Because there's a lot of moving parts to this, but it's going to be a really cool show.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be
Uh,
great. I'm
We've never
excited.
done it before. We'll see how it goes.
Every episode's a new episode for us.
Yeah, but I have done a lot of research on how to make this happen. I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve, and I think it'll be fun.
I'm excited to see
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
All right, but anyways, how about we get into the final bit of speculation?
Yeah. So
Wrap
this
that part up.
So this is we have previously recorded, so that one was running a little long. We saved that for this one, so we're gonna splice that in here. Now. Group 5. All right, so in Group 5, we have an Icon Hauser Zone. We have a Slaughter Cinema sequel. We have a Tooth Fairy House. We have Ghostbusters, and we have Dungeon of Terror. So this is a fun grouping, I think. I think there's stuff in here that definitely likely. There's some pie in the sky stuff. Let's start with an Icon Hauser Zone. Basically, this is, do the icons come back? Because they're going to have to come back in either a zone or a house.
Oh, okay. Well, I think before I said Body Collectors was the most likely original. No, I lied. This is the most likely original. They're coming back in some fashion.
I don't know if
House,
we see them in a house.
Zone,
but potentially.
I think we could see. I think we're going to see house, zone,
You see
the
both?
whole package. Yeah.
You think we see?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't. Have we ever had a full icon house before?
Well, not full icon house, but this, their icons have houses based
Right.
off their stories. I think that's what we'll see. I think it could
So
be a retrospective, mashing them together.
Okay.
Like,
so we get 2 or 3 scenes of each icon.
Yeah,
That would
exactly.
be really cool.
Like at 25, Jack Presents, and I think we'll see Zone as well. I think it's going to be an icon mash zone. Maybe Jack, maybe just the lead icon of the year.
We've seen them in zones
Yeah.
plenty of time.
I
That's
think-
usually when they come back in zones.
I think in some shape or form we get house and zone for icons this year.
Okay.
I think it's likely.
So let's put it in likely. And you think it's likely to see both, apparently.
I do.
So should I split it? Should I say?
No, you don't have to split it.
Okay.
We'll keep it as is.
Okay. And then what's next? We have the Slaughter Cinema sequel.
Ooh.
Now, is this
Talk dirty to me, Mike.
is this likely, or is this just people really wanting this to happen?
I don't think it's likely. I think it's maybe.
I think it's
maybe.
possible. I think definitely there's a lot of other. When you're coming up with just silly B movies, there's a ton of things the world's our oyster. They can come up with stuff.
Oh yeah, and I think if you look at like the past decade, this is one of like HHN fandom's favorites as a whole. So that's something you'd want to bring back in an anniversary year. In some
You could
fashion.
see it.
I think it would work really well in a retrospective house too.
Maybe we just see a scene or two.
Yeah, yeah. But I hope we see it because I loved it. It was my favorite of 28. I just don't. I can't put it in likely, so I'm gonna stick with maybe for it.
Okay, let's put it in maybe.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Cool.
Again, this is a little bit of a blind spot for me. I don't know too much about Slaughter Cinema. It's not a year. I know people love it. I know what it was like. I can I can picture it in my head. I've watched the videos. I think it's definitely potential to come back.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna see it in some form at some point. It's just tough to pick out this year,
Right. All right. After Slaughter Cinema, we have Tooth Fairy.
Ooh, think they're trying to bring it back, make it happen this time?
That's the rumor. The rumor is that. So, what I don't know is what made it fall through the first time. Do you know kind of why it didn't happen in HHN 29?
Basically to squeeze in us, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was just because
they solely because they got the contract on us.
I think it was they got the licensing for it and shoved it in.
Then we could definitely see it.
I think they just got the chopping block because of that.
Then we could easily see if we're gonna see some original houses where they're like one or two, and it's not all just sequels, and we could definitely see Tooth Fairy. I think.
I think what makes it likely is the fact that they've already basically had it fully developed.
Yes.
So, yeah, you already have it. Use it.
I think you forget that these are people creating these
Yeah.
things. And I think when it comes to people are overworked, and I think the creative is overworked. And if it's easier to take from something that they've already worked on and just make their workload a little bit easier, I think we could see the Tooth Fairy happening.
Yeah, I definitely think it's possible, mainly for that reason. Do I think it's likely or maybe? That's the tough part. You know what? You go first 'cause I haven't decided.
I'm going to call it high maybe. I
High
think,
maybe?
yeah.
I'll agree with you there. High maybe. So, yeah, move that to the maybe section. It would be cool to see, what would have happened.
I think people are very hyped. I think a lot of the reasons why us in the fandom didn't necessarily have as much popularity as they were hoping for is that the people are really upset that Tooth Fairy didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, people were doing hype lists before us was announced, and Tooth Fairy was high on a lot of people's lists. So, yeah, I think the community as a whole would enjoy that.
Yeah, I think so.
I would. I'd like to see what was going to come.
I think people who develop HHN have their ear to the ground.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Can they always take advantage of that and get it past upper management?
They've already developed it though. That's the thing.
Yeah, no,
it's
that's
already
true.
past
That's
upper
true.
management before.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it would again.
I think it would.
Years are different, but whatever. Anyways, it's a maybe. I'd say we'll stick with that. So the next one, Ghostbusters. Mike, Ghostbusters to return again after kind of a lackluster performance in their eyes.
So let's talk about why. It's possible. There's the new movie.
Yep.
And I do think that there's going to be a lot of big, strong IPs this year. Mm-hmm. I think maybe we don't see as many of them, but the ones that do come back are going to be very big. Huge names. I think the Ghostbusters there's a strong possibility that there's a lot of things that we did not see in the first one. I think it was popular. And I think we could potentially go back to the same well again. And I think it fits within HHN30 anniversary without overwhelming it in the way that maybe it would or Pennywise would, where it would basically take over and be the makeshift icon. I think Ghostbusters could come back in a way that it did in HHN 29 and just be kind of a sub icon type of thing that would still work with having the icons come back.
I don't agree that they would go back to it. One, I think they kind of did. Like you said, they could go back to the well. That there was a lot of content that they missed out. They did try to shove quite a bit into that house, to be fair, in my opinion. I think they really tried to get a good amount of Ghostbusters into that
They
house.
mostly focused on the first show, though. The first.
Oh, I mean, they're not going to make one based off Ghostbusters 2. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Absolutely not.
There's no way.
Do we see a Ghostbusters 2, 3, and 4, though?
But, I mean, they had 2 and 3 in this one.
They had
Aspects, not of
aspects.
Yeah.
They had.
But I think that's all. I think that's all they want.
They had the Scolari brothers, and they had the Stillwalker.
I think that's all you want from those movies. To be honest, those movies aren't gonna get their own house at Horror Nights. I don't think. I think the only one is potentially just strictly going back into Ghostbusters, or take advantage of the remake coming out.
Maybe we get a whole
Or
one just
both
about
remakes. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe we go 3 and 4.
But I don't think it's likely. I think it underperformed in management's opinion. I think it was a good fit last year because the heavy 80s theming. And when you think 80s, Ghostbusters is one of those franchises that's near the top of your mind. So, I don't know. I just don't find it likely this year.
So you're calling this not likely?
Not likely.
I'm calling it a maybe, but I can put it as a not likely. All right, Duff, how about you take over the next one?
Dungeon of Terror? Where'd you hear this one?
This one comes from the fact that if it's its anniversary year and you wanted to draw from the early years, what
I mean, if you want to draw from the early years, then you don't have much of an option.
What is the better?
Use Dungeon of Terror.
What is the better than the very first house?
Yeah.
And I think I don't think there's rumors about it, but there's definitely speculation that if you're going to do some sort of, not just focus on the last 10 years, you're trying to do a whole anniversary year where you kind of dip in the well of all of the years. I think Dungeon of Terror, there's some others from the early years, but I think Dungeon of Terror kind of encompasses that. Okay, we're going to draw something from the very, very early years.
First of all, I think this would be absolutely fantastic. When's the last year this was used? 16? HHN 16?
Yeah, I think so,
I think
right?
it made an appearance for Sweet 16. I don't think it's been back since.
And I think there's
if I can remember
so much
correctly.
more you can do with it now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been, like 5-6 years total it appeared? 7, maybe? It's been around a lot. It's the first ever house from 91. I think if you're trying to go real big into history, gotta happen, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they're trying to do, though? Why would you save that for 30? You think 20 or 25 would be the year where you really are trying to go for pure history, right? I feel like 30 is kind of more like one of those off anniversaries where you're just kind of bringing back some stuff that was good.
I don't know. You're right. Maybe they don't go all the way back, but if they do, I think it would probably be Dungeon of Terror, right? I can't think of anything from those first 5 or 6 years.
No, I mean, if you're going early, yeah. I mean, it has to be Dungeon of Terror, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's some other things from
Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, Crypt Keeper, the Fritanic.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it in maybe.
People Under the Stairs.
I will put
which
it.
is an IP.
I'll
so
put
I
it
don't
in
think it's
maybe
happening.
just because I can't know exactly how they're looking at this anniversary. So whether it's like I said, going all the way back and trying to make it like a historical ode to Horror Nights, or if it's just kind of a typical off anniversary year.
I mean, we are in the age of nostalgia, so that is something to keep in mind.
This is true. Are the 90s big right now, or are we still in the 80s? Because
I think we are transitioning to 90s being big.
well, something from the
for
early
that.
90s then.
There we go.
Yeah.
I still leave it in maybe, though.
If Dungeon of the Terror comes back, do we get like a very strong, like basically rethemed story of Dungeon of Terror, because I don't think the early years were a very strong story the way that these new originals are. So if we get it back, are we going to get a very strong, almost like Graveyard Games, where we get this strong story that's all themed around Dungeon of Terror? Is that what we see?
I think any original you're gonna see now is gonna have more of a story. Like that's just how it is, and I love that. And I don't think they'd ever go away from that. Like for the past decade, stories have been what have built all original houses at this point. Where before maybe that was only for like the icon houses, and a lot of the other originals were just kind of, they had light stories, but you couldn't feel it going through the house. They used the story to build the house, but you couldn't always feel it or understand it. Whereas now, that's a very important aspect of every original house. So I think if it came back, yes, it would have to have a more fleshed out story than last time we saw it. Which we have to look this up. I'm pretty sure HHN16 was the last incarnation.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, well, where do we put this one on the list?
It's
probably
it's a low maybe for me.
Low
so
maybe.
If you're not likely, you can teeter on either side, and that's fine.
Let's put it on as a maybe. I think if we're going to see something from early HHN, this has as it would a likely, but
I think if you're going early HHN, it's the one. Except maybe Crypt Keeper, because we saw that in Hollywood last year. So yeah, but if we're talking like originals, yeah. I think this would be the one from like the original years.
Definitely.
There weren't many options, so
no. I mean, you have a few others, but
there's some. It's just this is the one that stands out.
All right, let's keep on trucking. Group 6. So we got our final group here.
About damn time, Mike.
Yeah. In this group, we have Bill and Ted, American Horror Story, Urban Legends, A Quiet Place, and Sabrina.
Okay.
These are all things that either are being rumored or speculated.
So let's just jump into the first one, because I really want it to come back so badly. I think it is coming back, so it's going to be on the likely side for me as well.
There's no way it doesn't.
I think all indicators lead to it coming back. I think there are a few people who have good reasoning behind why it wouldn't. Licensing we don't know the exact reason it left. Could have been licensing. That wouldn't be cheaper now.
Could have been the Me Too movement.
It could have just been generally too offensive of a show. That's why it went away in Hollywood. Hollywood kicked it to the curb, so it was too offensive.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember what happened at Hollywood, but Hollywood, they had a character that was like Superman, came out as gay, and he was like a very effeminate Superman, and it was very, very controversial.
Yes, it was. Also, another thing with Hollywood, it's a much younger audience for the most part, so I feel like they thought in Orlando they could probably still get away with stuff like that, where in Hollywood, no. No chance. It was time to get rid of it. If it went away for the offensive reasons, it's tough to say they'll bring it back, and if they do, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, no. See, that's what I was saying.
But here's the thing: if they got rid of it for being too offensive, why'd they wait so many years after they kicked it out of Hollywood? Because the last year in Hollywood was 2014?
Was it?
Yeah, 13 or 14, one of the two. So why would they have waited so many years to get rid of it in Orlando if that was their reasoning? I don't think in its former years it got any raunchier by any means. I think it stayed at the same level, or even honestly got a little less offensive.
Yes, I think if we see it coming back, they're definitely going to tone down some of the
I don't know
controversy.
If from what it was at like HHN27, I don't think there's much to tone down, to be honest. If you're bringing back Bill and Ted, and people want Bill and Ted, you have to bring it back at least at that level. You can make jokes that teeter on a line, but they stayed away from anything that was like, okay, that might cause some issues.
Right. So now the only thing that makes me think that it might not be coming back is that there's so much strong speculation that the creators of Bill and Ted just really are not fans of this being their thing being used in this
But
way.
they came out and said we had no say. We didn't care that it was being used. Basically, they said, I never watched it. I just know that it wasn't the heart and soul of the characters we created.
Right.
But he never said like he blatantly said I did not like do anything to get rid of this. Like he's saying it was fine that it was there. I just wasn't a fan of how they were portraying that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's gonna stop it.
But this is if there any time that they are trying to control the narrative of this story, now is the time that they're trying to control it. So I don't know if they would necessarily want. I could see Bill and Ted coming back in the future, but the same year this movie comes out, I know a lot of people thinks that probably means it is coming back. In my opinion, I think that means it's probably not coming back. I think we might see it back in a couple of years once Bill and Ted is kind of a nostalgia thing again. But right now, Bill and Ted is trying to make money, and I don't know if they really want to give this out after the fact. When they're still trying to sell DVD sales.
The thing is, though, if Universal is willing to pay more for the licensing now, do they take that?
Maybe.
Because I mean, I believe the issue was the whole licensing thing. I don't know the exact details, but that's the side I believe that people say it left for. I think people have showed they want Bill and Ted back so much, and now that Bill and Ted is relevant again, you could say that Universal might be more willing to throw out some cash to bring back their show.
Are they, though? Is Universal willing to throw out the cash? I don't know.
I don't. I mean, first of all, the licensing can't be that crazy expensive. It just can't be, right? Bill and Ted's not going to be like one of the pricier not productions, but
Yeah, Walmart used it for their commercial during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's true.
well, that also shows that they're just looking for money. Like,
Right.
I mean, a Walmart commercial? That's the least Bill and Ted thing you could have done.
That's true.
Bill and Ted 3, The Search for More Money.
Yeah, I mean, that was totally about money. So if Universal throws some cash at them, are they going to say no? I don't think so.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And it's just more marketing at that point, honestly. I know it's not a huge level, but it's still marketing.
I don't think they see it as marketing. But
Do you know how many people didn't know anything about Bill and Ted until they went to Horror Nights and watched the show and fell in love with them?
And do you know how many people don't know anything about Horror Nights but the Bill and Ted show?
Yeah,
I
true.
think that's even higher, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really the only thing I can name for you would be Bill and Ted and probably Walking Dead would be the only two things I could probably ever tell you about Horror Nights.
before you attended Horror Nights.
Before I attended Horror Nights, yes.
All right, well, I guess you guys are leaning towards likely. I'm leaning towards a maybe. But what do you guys think?
I mean, yeah, it's likely for me.
All right. I put it on as likely. Right, and then what's
American
next
Horror
up?
Story.
Yeah.
Triumphant Return?
I don't think this one's likely very much, just
Yeah,
because
neither do
I think if it was coming, I think we would have saw it during the last year would have been perfect.
Oh, yeah. What the
the
theme.
1984 and the 80s theme, it would have been perfect.
They didn't know that was going to be like their best season in like 4 years or 5 years, though.
Yeah, no,
Because
yeah.
HS was kind of a dying franchise, you
Yeah.
know? The seasons were not so great recently,
Yeah.
and I mean, HS 1984 came out. That was a banger.
Yeah.
I loved it, to be
Yeah,
honest, and a lot of people agree.
Yeah. So maybe we do see it back, but I think if we see it back, maybe we see it back in another 80s year. I don't think see it in an anniversary year.
We're also assuming right now that they don't keep any kind of 80s tie-in. They could.
They could.
They
No,
really
if we
could.
do keep an 80s tie-in, we could see 1984.
I think that would be cool.
Let me just hop in here for that one. What channel is that on?
FX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good point. Shut
Yeah.
down. Not likely, Mike.
I mean that's really the only thing I can think is that is not going to happen.
I think Disney cares more about money than they do making sure that Universal doesn't have a property they really want. I think if we think that Universal is trying to shop around and throw money at people, Disney will take it. I don't necessarily think that's the thing that's stopping Simpsons. I just don't see how Simpsons would come about. I think Disney is willing to license their things to competitors.
If you somehow got lost there, Disney now owns the rights to American Horror Story.
Yeah. That's really the unfortunate thing, when somebody gobbles up. And, there's no way Disney's going to let a competitor use one of their properties, especially for that. It's already confusing enough with Marvel, and I think they're ticked up enough from Marvel for them to prevent Disney from ever doing a deal like that, unless they can probably get some other deals back.
I don't know if Disney's opposed to using a competitor. American Horror Story isn't like the princesses. Like, it's not one of those, one of the Simpsons. It's
Or
not
the
one
Simpsons, yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think Disney's opposed to letting a competitor use their property if it makes Disney money on merchandise. That's where things pay off, like Marvel at Islands of Adventure. Not only are they licensing the property from Disney, all those merchandise sales, right back to Disney.
That's true.
So I think when that extra aspect comes into play, yeah. How much merch is AHS going to sell? Probably
not
not
much.
too much.
And you're right. It is still kind of on the waning years of the franchise.
Yep.
I don't think. I think it's a not likely. I agree, but I don't think just the fact that Disney owns it is what's stopping it from not likely. I
Yeah,
just think it's
no.
more of a waning franchise, kind of similar to Game of Thrones.
I think when
It's
Disney's involved, though, it does get much, much harder. So I think, how much do you want the franchise, and you have to go through Disney to get it? Like, that's tough. I will say, although I think it's unlikely, if you stopped watching American Horror Story because the seasons have been bad, go watch 1984. Best one, maybe second best ever, third best ever in my opinion. Great season. Have fun.
Yeah, definitely. After I finish Hill House, I'm definitely.
Oh yeah, it's worth a watch
1984.
for sure. All right, so next one
Not likely.
is Urban Legends, or should we say just Urban Legend? Because didn't make it too far.
Well, yeah, we only got one of these. I think people are definitely talking about, do we see another one of these lines?
Yeah. If you weren't aware, the first one was La Llorona. Not related to the recent film that everyone thinks.
Right.
It was actually like of the urban legend
Right.
La Llorona.
It was an original house.
Yes, correct. So I've heard like multiple people refer to it as an IP. It is not. It's an original house that just happened to come before a very popular movie about it came out.
It came about 5 years before the movie. Just about.
Was it
right?
I don't
It was
remember what.
2013.
I don't remember what year. Was La Llorona like 2017 or was it more recent? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was 20. I know that what movie did they show? Was it Frozen 2 or something? No, not Frozen 2. It was some big children's movie where they accidentally showed La Llorona.
Llorona?
Llorona.
Llorona? It's okay. We'll get to that.
I've already said I can't pronounce Spanish.
Well, I keep talking. I just looked it up. Hold on.
I can't remember what children's movie that they showed on accident. They showed this film, but it was recent. I think it was 2018, if I had to guess.
Oh, it was 2019. Wow.
Yeah.
What the hell? Yeah,
Stuff like that happens
Was
more
it,
often
what, Toy
than
Story
it
4?
should.
What year? What movie did they accidentally show?
That might have been Toy Story. No, maybe. No, Toy Story 4 was summer. Maybe. Nico,
I
chime in.
think that sounds about right.
Toy Story
It was
4?
Toy Story 4. I'm pretty sure. But it's so funny, like, how these things just happen. Like, oh, we accidentally showed the wrong thing. It's like when Comcast people, where the Nick Jr. channel was receiving hardcore pornography. Like, it is funny when stuff like this happens. Like, it happens way more often than it actually should.
It was Detective Pikachu.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Detective Pikachu.
Yes.
Man, I can't believe I was that far off because I saw the movie in theaters. You think I'd remember it less than a year ago?
You
and
saw
I thought
it?
it was like 3 years ago. I saw it in theaters.
You did?
La Llorona, yeah.
Was it good?
It was solid.
It was okay.
It was okay. I think that's more because I really enjoy the urban legends itself,
Right.
rather than the movie necessarily being good. But it was fine.
something I should watch on
Yeah,
Netflix?
give it a shot.
Okay.
Why not?
All right. What do we call? What do we think about urban legends?
I think it's not likely. I think they would have done it by now.
You
To
think
be honest,
they're just done with it.
yeah,
It's one of those things. Just
yeah.
for whatever reason.
I think because here's the thing: it's not the first story they've made of like an urban legend. This is just the first one they titled Urban Legend. Like this is going to be our new series, but they didn't
Yeah.
continue it. They just kind of already do originals based off or loosely based off even like existing urban legends. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some sort of urban legend return. I don't think we'll see the urban legends series return.
Isn't a Yeti technically an urban legend?
Yeah, exactly.
This is purely speculation. I have no clue. But the urban legends tag to that house makes me kind of feel like it's kind of a more of like a marketing steps in and not necessarily creative, like where they're saying like, oh, this isn't going to sell well, people don't really know this, we need to call it urban legends, this is a thing that's going to be marketable more towards kids. And it was more of a thing that marketing did after the fact than they did.
It's all right. Let it out, Mike.
Duff accidentally, what was that, pornography? What was that, Duff? You closed your laptop so fast.
Sorry. Backdoor Sluts 9 started auto-playing.
Backdoor slits 9.
It was like your mom just walked into the room.
Yeah. Apologies if anyone heard that. Anyways, so what about marketing?
Yeah, I don't think the urban legends was something that Universal Creative came up with. It's like, oh, that this is our baby, because then we would have saw it more recently. I think it was just one of those things that there are lots of things when it comes to Universal. There was like, it's just thrown in there, kind of like the Storyteller, where it's like someone bigwig steps in and sees, La Llorona on in there, and they're like, let's call it Urban Legends La Llorona because that will play better. I think it was more one of those things, in my opinion. But this is purely speculation.
No, I mean, I see where you're coming from there. I really don't know why they didn't. I have no guess why. So you put a lot more thought in that than I did. I just know that for some reason they decided not to keep doing the series, even though they've done things that are based off urban legends.
It sounds, to me, it just seems like one of those things like some bigwig marketing guy stepped in and said, let's call it this. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I think
fair.
if Universal Creative really cared, we would have saw this back.
Yeah, exactly. And for that reason, that is not returned. It is not likely for me.
All right. We only got a couple more.
Yeah, let's finish it up here. So the next one is A Quiet Place. I think there's a couple reasons we could see that and a couple we could not.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So one, the sequel's coming.
Right?
So, that's
it's coming
always,
in March. It's coming a lot sooner.
Yeah, but still it's coming in the year, at least. A sequel always helps the odds, I'd say.
A Quieter Place, right? That's the name of it.
Yes, A Quieter Place. I'm very excited for
Oh,
A
wait.
Quietest Place.
That was a joke. Is that the
No,
serious?
it's not.
That's the serious title.
Hence why I said I can't wait for A Quietest Place in 2023. But yeah, so that always kind of like helps relevance, It was a big recent horror film. People really enjoyed. Didn't it win awards too? Or am I wrong there?
Critically acclaimed. I don't think it won anything official, but
Okay.
it was definitely very critically acclaimed.
Yeah. Very good horror movie, basically, that's what I'm saying. However, imagery for A Quiet Place to fit into a house, a little lacking.
I think it's possible. I do think that we saw what they could do with Stranger Things. They're the monsters from A Quiet Place are very Stranger Thingsy.
Yeah.
I think we would have to
But
definitely.
In Stranger Things, you see them a lot more than you see them in A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place, how much screen time do they actually have?
I hear apparently in A Quiet Place 2, you see them all the time.
Well, there's the kicker too, because if they're in A Quiet Place 2 a lot more, you're gonna have a lot more scenes to pull from.
Right.
Because I mean, you're not just looking at a property as specifically like, oh, is this like monster scary enough or whatever, but like you want to pull specific scenes. If you're looking at the first Quiet Place, there's not too many scenes. There's not enough to make a house, really. You'd kind of have to stretch what was actually in the movie. But with A Quiet Place 2 coming, if that actually does have a lot more screen time for the creatures, then yeah, I could see it.
I think this, of all the ones that I want to see, I think this is the one I want to see the most, just because I think it would be so interesting to see what they could do with it. I do think there are some things that kind of hold it back. I think it would be really hard to see. I know I had it on my speculations, hot takes, but do I actually see it happening? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm kind of a low maybe, personally. I kind of want to say not likely, but I still think, just being a recent, very popular horror film, it's possible.
Now, if A Quiet Place 2 becomes a huge hit, and this becomes a franchise, I think we could see it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I don't think this is like the last time we'll talk about this as a speculation if it doesn't come. We'll see. We'll see. But for now, I think
We put it as a maybe.
maybe or even not likely if you're inclined.
Yeah, let's put it as maybe. I think if it's better in maybe than some of the stuff we have not likely.
Fair. Yeah, maybe it is. And then
All right.
we just have one left, Mike.
One left, and that is another Netflix, Sabrina.
Yeah, Chilling Adventures, I believe they are.
Chilling Adventures of
chilling.
Sabrina. Now, the only reason, so I think this one's more likely than we'd like to admit, I have to say.
I hope this one's a hot house.
Oh, man. Woo!
I think that they...
Before we decide to cut that out, is she 18 plus?
She's got to be. Wait, it's the original Sabrina, right?
No.
And she's
you mean
Wait.
Melissa Joan Hart?
yeah, I thought
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
in it.
yeah, dude,
She's
she's
like
like
50.
50.
Hey, that's fine with me.
Wait, you don't know about Chilling Adventures of Sabrina
Well,
on Netflix?
I know about Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I haven't watched it, but I assume the person on there is.
No.
No, I don't think she is. I think we have to cut all of this.
No, let it stand. This is great. This is fantastic.
I mean,
No.
I thought it
it's
was.
the-
I thought it was just like her in like makeup.
No, her name's like Kieran Shipka or something.
Wait. You thought that it was just Melissa Joan Hart in makeup?
I haven't watched it.
Wait,
You
I can't
thought
tell.
it was
Are
just
you joking?
like in Tron where they made him look younger?
I mean, they did it for The Irishman.
When they CGI'd Will Smith in Gemini Man or something?
Oh yeah, yeah. So, am I wrong for
You are
thinking
You
that?
were absolutely right.
Here,
Okay.
Here, let me just
Here.
Mike, you can start talking.
Kieran Shipka is 20.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm saved.
I don't know if you are safe though, Nico.
Yeah, that was,
You just said that you thought it was.
you thought that was Melissa Joan Hart?
I just look. It's heavily photoshopped. I've only seen the ads for it. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of cool.
Okay.
All right, forgive me. All right.
All right.
I'm sorry. I don't watch as much horror as you two do.
I mean, it's not really horror, to be honest. It's more sci-fi.
I mean,
guess you could say.
this sounds a lot better than like a Bird Box house.
Oh no, thank you.
Here, put on the sweaty blindfold that these teens from Oviedo just put on.
It's literally just that dark scene from Graveyard Games. The whole house.
Hey, that would actually kind of work.
Just a pitch black room, like you're wearing a blindfold, and noises. You just walk straight.
Yep. Yeah.
That would be.
None of this is a bit, by
fantastic.
the way. As a podcast who do bits
Yes.
every once in a while,
Yes.
this was not.
This was
a bit.
legit.
No, I got pure honey potted here. This is bad.
He thought Melissa Joan Hart was starring in Chilling Adventures
Oh,
of Sabrina.
like
I
I'm
am-
sorry, I skipped past it when I'm gonna go try to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm sorry.
Just when all the ads just keep popping up.
Yeah, I'm like I don't want that. I don't want to see this.
It's actually not bad if you want to give it a shot.
Is Salem in it?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay, then I might watch it.
Not in the same capacity.
That's the only thing I remember.
Not in the same capacity, but he's there.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, let's get back on track.
Yeah,
How
okay.
likely do we think the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is coming? I know you're very likely you think Netflix has a
Yes. So I think if I am wrong with my Haunting of Hill House, that this is the next option.
Right.
So for me, maybe. I think there's enough horror imagery within the show to make it happen as well. I think it has some cool sets. I haven't caught up, by the way. I haven't watched season 3 or even finished season 2, so there could be even more that I'm missing, and supposedly there is. But yeah, I think it would be a good fit, to be honest, especially the way they've been going, more Stranger Things route.
Right.
This would work well with that.
I think if the Billie Eilish rumor is real and they're really trying to lean towards this teen tween, PG-13-ish type of let's get the younger crowds, I think Sabrina is probably happening.
Oh yeah.
If this Billie Eilish rumor is true, then Sabrina is, if it's not coming this year, is probably coming sooner rather than later.
I don't think there's a rush to get Sabrina in. I think it's probably got a few years left of strong popularity.
Yeah, but I think it's probably likely, maybe not this year, but I think it's likely sometime.
Yeah, I agree completely. For this year, though, I personally put maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah,
All right.
you agree?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so that's all of them.
Cool. So we're going to take a minute here. We're going to talk over how we want to make our speculation map. We will come back and give you our first ever speculation map for
let's do it.
HHN30. So, Mike, take us out.
All right. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back, horror fans. All right, well, that's all of our groups. Let's quickly go over, because I don't believe we did in the last one, go over where everything kind of landed. What we consider likely, what we consider maybes, and what we consider not likely. So for our likely list, we have Candyman, AOV Street Stage, The Conjuring, a retrospective house, a Scarecrow sequel, Haunting of Hill House, Scary Tales, Body Collectors, Icon House / Zone, and Bill and Ted. Maybe we have Halloween Kills, we have a Carnival Graveyard Scare Zone, we have Deadwater / Zombie Garage sequel, we have Billie Eilish. That was Duff thinks it's likely, I think it's not likely, so we split the middle and we put it maybe. Slaughter Cinema sequel. We have Tooth Fairy. We have Dungeons of Terror. We have Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and we have A Quiet Place. And then our not likely list, these are the things that we think are just, we may want them to happen, we just don't think they are going to. Beetlejuice, Stranger Things, 11 Houses, Game of Thrones, 13 Ghosts, Treehouse of Horror, Gremlins, It, some sort of music zone, Ghostbusters, Walking Dead, and American Horror Story. Duff, do we want to change anything now that we have more information, mostly about the 11 houses?
So, yeah, I was going to say, not everything that has been speculated, it's not all of our options.
No.
So there are things that we think will happen potentially
Right.
that really haven't been speculated.
Right.
So you're going to hear potentially a few different things that we didn't talk about earlier.
And again, things have changed since we recorded that. This is ever changing. Creepshow is now seems like more of a possibility. 11 Houses seems like it's much more of a possibility now. I'm sure by the time we post this, there'll be another rumor that comes up. It's very changing. So, and that's what we love about Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah. So real quick, the way we're going to do this is we're going to break it down like it is a speculation map. We're going to name the locations and what we think will be in there.
Yeah.
Houses, shows, scare zones.
Yeah.
And then also I think there's one thing that we didn't talk about all at speculation. Why don't we just say icon?
Okay.
Will there be an icon? What do we think it is?
Yeah, sure.
So
All right.
let's start with the icon because that's kind of the first thing you see about the event.
So I think we're on the consensus that we think there will be icons.
There will be icons. I believe originals. You as well?
Yeah, I could see them honestly going either way on this one. But I do think that people are really clamoring for the originals to come back, and I think they really want to give the guests what they want. Although I do think Mr. Moneybag Universal up at the top pulling the strings might have some sort of veto power where he says no. But we haven't really seen that in the past too much. I think we see A&D have a little bit more of control,
Especially for anniversary years.
especially for anniversary years. So we'll see. But I do think the originals are coming back.
Yep, same. All right, cool. So let's get into the houses. So I guess the first question, like you said before, are we going to do 10 or 11 of these, Mike?
Again, we've talked about it, and I don't think my feelings had necessarily changed. I know you really trust Legacy's track record. I haven't been following it as closely in these more recent years where he's had that. So I think he's just a guy behind a keyboard. So I don't necessarily have the trust that you do, because you've seen him be right over and over and over again. So we'll see. I'm leaning. It just doesn't make sense to do 11 houses because I don't see the need or demand for it.
As you said, as far as insiders go, I trust Legacy. However, I say there are only 10 houses this year.
We're on the same page.
On the same page there.
So
we have to be. This is a team effort. We have to
All
come
right.
together, Mike.
All right. Well, if we're not on the same page, we'll just have to debate back and forth until one of us backs down, which will probably be me.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because I am not very confrontational.
It's not a
Unless-
confrontation. It's a friendly debate.
Unless you get some alcohol in me, and then I will debate Duff until
I
till we
tried to
both
get
angry,
alcohol in you.
and then we. Yeah.
We have debated about the dumbest things, by the way. But anyways, carry on.
All right, so let's go to kind of each section of the park and talk about what we think would go well there. So let's start with the sound stages. If you have never been to the event and you don't really quite know what these sound stages are, they are basically big production warehouses that are used to for film and television, and they can build basically anything they want in these sound stages.
Yeah.
They're huge,
Space isn't very limited.
sprawling, very tall ceilings. They can put some crazy stuff. And those houses in the past that have gone in here are always been the ones that have huge, elaborate facades, inside facades, not outside facades, inside facades. You usually see the elaborate outside facades attached to the tents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They create like faux outside facades in the
Right.
warehouses, though.
But they're still inside.
sound stages.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so if you ever saw the show, Guts or Global Guts or Legends of the Hidden Temple, those were filmed in those sound stages. So the aggro crag can fit in one of those. So
Right.
pretty much
Yeah.
it is endless. So just imagine what they can do in there. Especially with us last year, how they were able to get those really tall rooms in there. It
And
was
we've
really awesome.
seen very tall things in them in the past.
Oh, yeah. I mean, most years there is something that has some height to it, for sure.
So they always put something that really requires some huge, elaborate set pieces in the sound stages. They're also tend to be less claustrophobic in nature, just because they don't
have more space.
They have more
Yeah.
space. You can still see some claustrophobic. I remember Nightingale's The Blood Prey was very claustrophobic, but it was in a soundstage, but there was also some crazy stuff going around you. Things were flying above you. It was also had that claustrophobic feel.
Yeah, so you know how bungee effects have been more popular in the recent years? Typically going to find that in sound stages.
Right. So, Duff, they can always change this up, but let's just kind of go by what we've seen in the prior years. Soundstage 22 is used. Last year, for a perfect example, it was Ghostbusters was in that. Soundstage 24 usually has 2. And then there's also Soundstage 25, which I believe last year had Stranger Things.
Correct.
So that one usually has huge sets, right?
Yeah,
It
so-
also had Poltergeist.
So
right?
22 and 25 are usually like your big properties with big elaborate sets, or maybe not big property, but a big elaborate set,
Right.
at the very least.
Right. So what do you think fits in in those? Duff, let's go through it.
Well, so the thing is, we're looking at what IPs do we have first. That's how I'm looking at it. Because
Right.
if we're starting with 22, chances are you're getting an IP in that house.
Right.
Just kind of typically how it works.
Yeah.
What IP is at least one of the top two big ones they have? We've done some discussions on this, and we don't really think they're going to have massive IPs this year from what we've talked about compared to years past.
No, and we don't think it's going to be a huge hit like Stranger Things or anything like that. We think it's going to be a little bit more horror fans and less mass appeal.
So
fans,
what
right?
about a horror movie that people have been clamoring for, like, say, The Conjuring?
I think it would fit perfectly.
Yeah?
I think you hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah?
I think Conjuring is going to have long lines. They can probably... When does The Conjuring 3 come out? They usually put the trailer of whatever movie in the Music Plaza, and they're going to show the trailer. I think they could easily be showing that trailer.
Conjuring 3 comes out the day that Halloween Horror Nights opens,
Perfect.
actually. So
Nailed it. Yes. So that you will see the Conjuring 3 trailer running in Music Plaza. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that fits.
can you beat that?
Yes. Yeah. Now, if Candyman had, because Candyman is universal, but if Candyman has a summer release and not an October release, right? So if it was a Universal property and had an October release, I think they might lean more to having that Universal trailer running over and over again, but the Conjuring trailer. But who knows what contracts are to get the property? It might be in there. I think if it works, Duff, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think it'd be a perfect fit. I also want to correct one thing. Technically, the release date is the 10th in certain countries. The official release date in the U.S. is the 11th, so the day after the event opens. Which means
Perfect.
it really comes out the night of the 10th here. So.
Right. But the trailer will be running and will be in theaters for the entire event.
Yes, correct. Bar one day.
Yes. Yeah. So do we want to go ahead and say that we think the Conjuring
Soundstage 22.
Soundstage 22.
It's in. Pencil
All
in.
right. So that leaves us two houses in Soundstage 24, and then the Big Daddy in 25.
So let's do a 24. What
Okay.
what are we thinking? We assume it's going to be a split again, like
Yeah,
always,
it's
right?
always usually split. Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb on this one. Duff, do you remember what replaced Us and that in sound that was
You
apparently
mean
going
what
to...
did Us replace?
Yeah, what did Us replace? I'm sorry. Yes, what did
That'd be Tooth Fairy.
it would be Tooth Fairy, and that was going to go into Soundstage 24.
That's
Right.
correct.
So they have had it basically planned out to go into Soundstage
Like
24.
fully fleshed out.
And
Ready
we-
to go.
Yeah, and we've talked that we think that these are created by human people, and seems like a ton of work. It would make sense to slot this in where you've already planned
It'd
this.
be a little more efficient. You already have a property
Right.
that you've created, like as a house, layout and everything. Why not just slide it right back in there?
Yeah. So you think?
I don't see why not, to be honest.
So, yeah.
I don't want it to sound like a bad thing that we're saying, like, oh, they're going to take
No.
the easier way. It's not a
No,
bad thing.
it's not.
It
It's
took
the
them.
most
They
efficient way.
they did all this work last year. That's all.
Right.
We never saw it. It's not like they're completely reusing it. We never saw it.
Yeah.
They're just now putting it into the soundstage for us this time. So
Yeah.
I think that's a very good guess,
Yeah.
and I think we should just put that in soundstage 24.
Let's slot it in. That leaves us 2 more spots. In for the sound stages anyway. Soundstage 24 and 5. What do you think, Duff?
So we'll go to the other side of soundstage 24. A little tougher. I'm thinking we're gonna get an IP up here, and I'm thinking potentially that IP on the smaller side, but something that I've seen that people would really like with a company they have a big deal with currently. The one I'm pretty confident will show up at the event, which, if you listen to the first episode, Haunting of Hill House.
Right.
Oh, good. You finally got to your point.
So
Hey,
this
I like to build suspense, Nico.
So this is where Yeti was, right? This we're thinking. So we know in this one they can make things very cold.
Yep.
They can make things very moody.
Mhm.
I think I haven't finished Haunting of Hill House, but I think it fits. I think it would work really well.
Yep.
I think it's gonna go into a soundstage if
Oh
it
yeah,
comes.
I think it has to.
And so yeah, so it's. I think it fits in soundstage 24.
Slot it in.
All right, yeah.
All right, perfect.
And then that leaves us one last soundstage. This is the one where Stranger Things went. What do you think goes in it?
Tough. So the way we have to look at it now, I think, is what needs a soundstage? What needs that space? Typically, it's going to be IPs where
Right.
like that require it. Like
Right.
originals, they can work around it. You see originals on sound stages. I'm not saying you don't,
Right.
but there's a lot of IPs where you just need it to build what you need. I think one that you're going to see a lot of structures with a lot of heights would be Candyman.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, we could also see it in potentially a parade warehouse.
That's possible.
Those
Absolutely.
have, but I mean, I think if your guess is as good as mine, Soundstage 25 fits for Candyman. Let's let it in.
Let's do it. All right. Soundstage
All right.
25, Candyman.
Next, we want to do what we think is going to go into the parade warehouses and Shrek Theater, those three, and we can kind of debate back and forth.
Sure. Yeah,
where
let's
this will
do it.
land.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's do the two parade warehouses. Duff, what do you think is going to land in there?
Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's do the original parade warehouse. That's the one that had Graveyard Games in 29. What do you think is going in there, Duff?
It is tough to separate those two, I'd say. And I don't know why I want to say this specific property. It might be because this property has been in this parade warehouse before. And that's going to be Halloween.
Halloween. No, do we going to pin us down that we think this is going to be Halloween 5 or Halloween Kills?
Personally, I don't know that I feel confident saying which one. If I had to guess, I think they might go with Halloween Kills.
I think they'll probably go with Halloween Kills. I'm looking at the release date here for Halloween Kills real quick. If it's timing,
I think it's a summer.
no,
Right?
it is October 16th,
Oh.
2020. It is near the end of the event.
Ooh. Okay.
So that actually, they probably don't want to spoil anything.
Might lean more towards
So
it
might
being
lean to
Halloween
Halloween 5, where they could play the trailer for Halloween Kills in the line.
This is true.
So that might put it for like Parade Warehouse 2, where they have the big
yeah, you
wall.
know what? I like that. It's a good train of thought. So let's say Parade Warehouse 2, Halloween 5,
Yeah, I would say it's,
with the trailer
yeah,
for Halloween Kills on the wall.
Yeah. So yeah, we think that's probably going to go into a second Parade Warehouse, which will be Halloween Kills.
5.
Oh, I'm sorry, Halloween 5. Yes, that is what we decided. I have a memory of a fish sometimes, especially when I'm on cough suppressants. Let's see.
At least you didn't say it was a Herman's Hermit's house.
Right? All right, Duff, what do you think is going into regular Parade Warehouse then?
Well, I'm going to look towards originals for this time. I think one thing we are pretty confident about would be like an icon house, right?
Yeah.
I'd say I want to say an icon house of some sort. The thing is, do you want to say this is a specific icon's house, or is this like a retrospective of icons?
Well, I think there's going to be some sort of retrospective house, and I think you think the theme seem to think there's going to be an Icon's house. I think it's probably going to be an Icon retrospective house, potentially.
I could definitely
split
see
the difference on it?
I could definitely see that. So going into Parade Warehouse, we'll say an icon retrospective house.
It would be awesome. It would be really
Yeah,
cool.
works. I could definitely see it happening too.
Yeah.
Because we aren't picking what we want. We're picking what we think could really happen.
Right.
And I think that could really happen.
Yeah. So that leaves us with, without getting to the tenths yet, Shrek Theater.
Ooh,
It's a weird spot.
it is a weird spot. I think it's kind of a cursed spot.
Yeah. Well, what's been in there before? Because you called it a cursed spot, we kind of have to go in.
Um,
Krampus.
So there's a lot of people who like Krampus. I disagree. I didn't think it was a good house. Don't need to get into reasons now. Didn't enjoy it that much.
It was the first year that you put anything in there, though, right?
Second, I believe. Yeah, they had what they have in there in 25. Anyways, before we get to that part, also they had Halloween, the worst incarnation of Halloween they've ever done, which was Halloween 4,
That was what 2018.
2018. Last year was Killer Clowns, which again there was a lot of people who loved. Neither of us loved it much.
No, yeah, Nico hated it.
Absolutely.
I didn't hate
Terrible.
it. I just don't think neither of us were really close to that IP. The ones who people really love that, they seem to really love that IP. And I think those who really love the IP really love the house.
Straight basura.
Yeah.
Also, Shrek Theater housed Asylum in Wonderland 3D
Okay.
at HHN 25.
What do you mean 3D?
Oh, Nico, there are 3D houses that occur every so often, and they are not typically great in my opinion.
Are the 3D glasses free, or do you have to purchase
No,
3D?
they're free.
Never.
Okay, because I remember like Cedar Point did something one time where it's like, oh, buy these 3D glasses for $1 to like enhance your experience in this.
No, these are like the paper
The
ones.
paper, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they have like a recycling bin that you drop them in at the end, but you can
Okay.
keep them if you'd like to, watch
Huh.
your 3D movies.
do you
at
think
home
do you
with-
think they're gonna do that gimmick?
It will return at some point, yes.
Yeah, it will definitely return. I don't think this is the year for it, but it'll return. It's was overplayed for a long time, and people kind of
And its last incarnation is considered one of the worst Horror Nights houses ever.
yeah. And I believe in a previous episode, I got confused because again, this is my blind spot years, and I said that it was technically like a good house or something, but no, it's that one was terrible, right? Lunatic's Playground.
Lunatic
was
Playground
terrible.
was atrocious, and I don't think there are many people who would disagree with that comment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
It
awful.
is,
And
honestly-
it basically killed 3D houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we haven't seen one since.
So we haven't seen one since 2016, Nico.
Okay, that makes sense because I mean we haven't seen Universal do much 3D since 2016
the
when
last
it
house,
used to be everywhere.
the last house that we haven't talked about that's been in Shrek Theater was Saw. We saw
Yes, saw in 2017.
and a fairly weak Saw from what I'm.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I'm gonna be honest. There hasn't been a single house in this location that I've genuinely liked.
What do you think ends up in it?
Tough one. However, I think there is a property that a lot of people want, especially a younger audience want, that will make its way to the event. I think this could be a decent landing spot for it, and I think that is the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah, they usually put some sort of kind of big name draw. Like you can see some of the other ones. They have a big name. They have an
Halloween,
I
Saw,
saw. Yeah,
kind of
Killer
stops there.
Clowns.
Killer Clowns was a big name in the sense that it was the most popular scare zone the year before.
Right.
Arguably, I guess.
It was an IP that was on the posters and on
Yep.
the shirts.
Yep.
And it was, it wasn't a huge draw, but it definitely was a featured IP.
For sure. And I think this could definitely fit in there.
Yeah. I think Sabrina, I think you're right. I think,
While I think you could argue Sabrina could get a soundstage, fair. I think this would be a good and very possible landing spot for that property.
yeah. It's really hard to predict this. We're just more doing this for fun. But yeah, let's say it's Shrek Theater. Sure. Then that just leaves just the 3 tents. So we have MIB tent, Sprung tent 1, and Sprung tent 2. Duff, what do you think goes in there?
So we'll start with MIB tent. Now I think
I think we need to put some originals on
we
the
need to
board.
put. I think we need to. We talked about this in the speculation. We need to get real original,
Yeah.
and I think something that would fit in what's typically a more claustrophobic location. Dungeon of Terror.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So yeah, back when we were discussing it, you seemed to think that maybe Dungeon and Terror, at least you led to believe that you weren't thinking of it.
Correct. So, here's how I'm looking at this. I can't guess everything and be completely right. So I'm gonna have to take some chances on things. And by that I mean it's a possibility. I don't think it's gonna happen. But do I think it will or very possibly could happen? Yeah. So I feel like Dungeon of Terror would fit really well into a smaller, more claustrophobic kind of old school style house.
I would love to see that.
Yeah,
It would be amazing.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. And maybe
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
Let's put it out there. This is one of those speculations that we know nothing. We're just going to put this on the map and maybe hope it happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because honestly, what I'm looking at right now, I think that would be like what I want the most to actually happen.
Yeah.
So
Can we say that I would say that a lot of this rumors and speculation that we see out there, I have to suspect that it's a lot of people hoping for things and not actually
I
having.
think we kind of brought it. Speculation isn't rumor. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Speculation is literally can be just people saying, "Oh, that would be cool," so let's talk about it. That's where a lot of speculation comes from.
We at least admit when we do it, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, there is. We have told you the one thing we've kind of heard something about and been honest about to what level we've heard about it.
Yeah, everything
That's all
else
we have.
is just us
Speculating.
speculating. And if
Off other
yeah,
rumors, off other speculation, off our own thoughts.
Yeah.
So
that's what is fun about this. So let's slot it in there. So Dungeons of Terror at MIB.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
So how about we go to Sprung Tent 1? What do you think?
Well, on the lines of things that we really, really want to happen, I think most people really, really want this one to happen.
I think I know where you're going.
Where could they put maybe a cornfield facade that leads up into an amazing sequel house that people really want to see?
Well, I think I've seen the cornfield at Sprung Tent 1 before.
Yeah. Maybe we get a Scarecrow sequel that people are going clamming for.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now, was
Please.
the original Scarecrow's house also at Sprung Tent 1?
it was.
Yes. So why mess with success, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Yeah.
And
Anything else you want to
think
say?
that- No,
about-
I've talked plenty about Scarecrow in our short podcast existence, and I would love to see it back. And I think putting it in the same spot would work well.
It would fit since it's claustrophobic. It would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. That leaves us lastly. What do you think goes into Sprung Tent 2?
So we're gonna go our original again here. We've kind of used up what we think is gonna happen for the IPs, and I think we're gonna see another sequel.
Right.
What's a popular series that we get? You know, there's Scary Tales, there's Psychoscarapy. What we talked about before during speculation is, I believe that Terror Queen will make a return in some form. What character is played in with her story a lot?
Oh.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do know who you're talking about.
Do you think a
The original smiley ghosts.
yeah,
But they're not really ghosts.
yeah, it's not ghosts, but they look the
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah.
Anyways, Body Collector
Yeah.
in the Sprung 10 too.
Yeah. I think if it's... I mean, we have no clue what sequels are going to come, but I think Body Collectors is in the top three
Probably a good
options.
bet. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's good odds on it, I'd say.
Yeah. When it comes to trying to guess the originals, we could come up with some crazy idea that probably won't happen, or we could. The originals aren't really rumored this early, so if we're gonna do this speculation map, you get some of the originals rumors coming out when you get like some of the Ghosts in the Graveyard, that type of stuff comes out late once they start casting the houses and it gets leaked of
Like
what's
what the
going on in
idea
there.
of the house is.
Yeah, so then you kind of have an idea of what that house will be. Doing this early, we have a couple of options. We can come up with some crazy idea that probably won't happen and be like, wouldn't it be great if there was a house that was set in the space station on the moon? It could be really cool, but it probably isn't going to happen.
No.
Or we could kind of trying to guess what type of sequel would we have? What type of things do they normally go back to a lot? And the body collectors, I think, is a good fit.
Yeah. You want to slide it into
Yeah.
Sprung Tent 2 there?
I think we'll could see them back for sure.
Perfect. All right, so we filled out our 10 houses.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I think we're probably going to hit at least a couple of those.
Let's do it. So let's go over. So, and Soundstage 22, we have The Conjuring. Soundstage 24, we have Tooth Fairy. Soundstage 24 as well, we have Haunting of Hill House. Soundstage 25, we think Candyman is a possibility. We have, then going around the loop, we have MIB Tent with Dungeons of Terror. Sprung Tent 2, we have Body Collector sequel. Sprung Tent 1, we have a Scarecrow sequel. Second Parade Warehouse, we believe Halloween 5. Parade Warehouse, we believe it's going to be an Icon House. And then Shrek Theater, we believe it's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
I think that's a good lineup.
Yeah. Do you want to jump right into zones?
Let's do it. Scare zones.
This
Mike.
is,
How many?
I think it's still going to stick with a 5.
Agreed. So we'll go with 5. Same locations we've got last year, you wanna
Probably.
say?
I mean, we've had these locations for the last couple of years,
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
They don't,
Slight change, but not much going on.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to start out in, say, Production Central?
Yeah, so Production Central over the last couple of years, usually where they put, for the lack of a better term, they kind of put the icon of the event, right?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of throw you right in to this is what the theme of the event is going to
The
be.
essence of our event is in this scare zone.
Right, and you walk in, you don't even through the gate yet, and you look down, and you'll be like, this is the theme.
Mm-hmm.
What would fit? What would be the theme of the event of this HHN30? What do you think, Duff?
Well, I think we kind of said it before, and we think it's going to be original icons.
Yeah.
And probably not new ones, probably Jack. I think, honestly, Jack's going to be the headliner again. I know some people are excited about that. Some people are like, all right, can someone else get their shot? But it'll probably be Jack.
So we just see them roaming? Do we see the pop-up stages? The little tiny stages?
Hopefully
Those
we see
don't
the
work.
stage shows again. I'd like to see them again.
That's a very tight spot, though.
But then
See
we're
that.
also kind of like basically doing 25 all over again.
Yeah, they might try something different.
But I think it will be an icon scare zone.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with that. I think we'll probably see something, some sort of whatever the theme of the event is. We'll see it there.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's move on to New York. What do you think's going in New York?
So I feel like I kind of want to take a shot in the dark with this one. It's not going to
Okay.
be a brand new original, but it will be an original that I always thought would work really well as a scare zone. That original house would be Seeds of Extinction.
Ooh. What? So. Yeah, I think that could be pretty cool.
Imagine the projections
Yeah.
that they've used in previous years.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, you could have the overgrowth all over the
The
that would
props
really
could be
cool.
really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. The Stiltwalker lady at Animal Kingdom could get off her shift,
Right, yeah.
and
Just
just
head right
basically
over.
stay in her costume and just go straight over to
Yep.
Universal. She could double.
In her massive car that she
Yeah.
can still drive. And
What do you think, Nico? What do you think?
I think she drives a convertible.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
Yes,
she
that's
can
what
do
we were
that.
asking
Yeah.
you.
yeah. What do you think? Do you know what Seeds of Extinction is?
Refresh me, please.
So go ahead, Duff, because this is a house I've not been able to see.
So Seeds of Extinction was an original house from HHN28.
Okay.
Basically, the short of it is, I believe it was an asteroid impact caused an environmental and atmospheric change. Humans could not survive. Plants overgrew and took over the earth, basically.
Oh, okay. That sounds
So
like
just
fun.
imagine a massively overgrown giant plants.
Okay,
killing
I could definitely see something like that happening.
So we would see kind of like a lot of plant zombies.
yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, we see a lot of zombies in there. We've seen, like the acid rain one is the one that pops into my mind.
Yep.
From what,
The projection style,
the projection
especially.
style, where
Yeah.
it literally, if you guys don't remember that one, over the course of the night, the mapping, it literally looks like the buildings actually started to crumble. So they got worse and worse and worse throughout the night, and by the end of the night, it was like they were like completely destroyed.
And that would fit in perfectly with Seeds of Extinction because the whole process of Seeds of Extinction from the asteroid impact to the end was like 4 or 5 days.
Right.
So like it was a very immediate change. So that would fit in with the story
So you
perfectly.
can maybe see that thing again where it's a little bit overgrown at the beginning of the event, and by the end, it's
just
like
massive.
completely
Yeah.
overgrown.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
So that is just a complete shot in the dark. It's something I think would be really cool. And so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you want to slide that in?
Let's
You
slide it
okay
in.
with that?
I think that would be awesome.
Cool.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but
Hey,
let's
no,
let's
we-
wish this one. to
Well,
happen.
we gotta say we think it's a possibility at the very least.
It's a possibility.
It's our speculation map. It's
Yeah.
not our wish list.
Yeah. Okay. It's a possibility. I'll let you have this one.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So I'll let you have the next one then. Which area do you want to take?
So let's do Central Park. This
Okay.
is another one that's very moody, has a very distinct feel. They go to this very often. I think HHN30, they're gonna really want a Halloween vibey one. The ones that, like, we're celebrating Halloween and the 30 years that we've celebrated Halloween in the past in this event. I think I don't know what they're going to call it necessarily, because they're probably not going to reuse like Twisted Tradition or Trick or Treat. I'm not going to necessarily say it's like something like that, but I do think it's going to have a very Halloween-y vibe where we're going to see
Would you say it
the rotted
possibly
pumpkins again. And
takes place in Cary, Ohio?
yes, I do. I think potentially a Cary, Ohio Halloween themed scare zone.
Okay.
It
yeah.
fits
No, I
perfectly
can
in
see
there.
it.
We've seen it in
So
many
something
years.
along the lines of Twisted Tradition,
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah. Something along that line. They'll come up with some other name.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that. I mean, it's there most years.
Right.
Something in that vein. No reason to think it won't return, especially for an anniversary year. So I'm down for it.
Yeah. What you think is going into? I'll let you take the next one. Hollywood.
All right. So if you'd allow me to, I'm gonna take another kind of shot in the dark here. You know, I've been all in on Terra Queen making her return and then fulfilling the prophecy.
You have.
Yet haven't mentioned her yet. This is where she comes into play. You're gonna have a Terra Quentis zone.
Ooh. All right. And you think it fits well in Hollywood?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
I think that's a good space for it. I think because you can have the centerpieces down the middle of Hollywood Boulevard there. The Terror Throne probably would make a return.
Ooh. Do they bring back the motorcycles?
I would assume so.
Maybe one or
that's
two?
That's how I'd envision it. Vehicles aren't new to that area
Yeah.
either.
I could, if they're gonna bring motorcycles in, they could bring them right there. That would be perfect because they're
Right out of the parade gate
Right
there?
out of the parade gate, just right in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's a fit that makes sense, and the fact that I believe, and I think you agreed that there's a good chance that she could come back this year, giving Terra Queen a zone, and just theming it off Terra Quentis in general.
Yeah.
Sounds great
All
to
right.
me.
Yeah. Let's put it in.
All right, Hollywood, Terra Quentis.
All right. That leaves us with one last one. San Francisco. What do you think is going in San Francisco?
That's a little tougher. I don't think we've said an IP yet.
We haven't, and they usually at least one IP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually just one. I believe Nico. I'm gonna go with this one. Nico, I believe in our way too early predictions predicted Universal Classic Monsters making a second appearance, and I don't think he's wrong. I think he's onto something here, and I think we could definitely see them coming back as a scare zone. Probably, maybe not a house. There's a lot of rumors about kind of the IP houses that kind of already fit. There's some others we haven't really mentioned because they're not really strong, but I do think that the Universal Monsters could potentially come back, and it could come back as a zone, and I think would work well.
Yeah, for a synergistic standpoint, that makes absolute sense because they are definitely pushing that. Because isn't there a new Dracula movie coming out?
There is. Dracula's coming out later this year.
There's a new Invisible Man.
Invisible Man is coming out this year.
I mean, they're going to be semi-connected, but it's not going to be Dark Universe like they had planned. There looks like they're going back, but yeah, looks like especially because Universal wants to do Peacock Live. I mean, to bring it all back to Peacock Live. Yeah, I mean, just really more synergy between its own brands is really what I would expect to see from them.
Right, and it's also, we have to remember it is an anniversary year, and they're gonna focus on things that have had a big effects on this event. And the first makeshift icons of Fright Nights that were posted on the everywhere were the Universal monsters. So I think we could see them coming back, and probably as a zone. I don't think they're going to do another house right back to try to catch them, but I could see them as a zone.
I agree with you. I think that would be a perfect zone. I think it would fit in San Francisco as well.
All right, so let's put it in. That just leads us to the shows. This year, I think it's fun to talk about the shows because there's so many options that people are talking about. Yeah, so I think usually the shows are kind of an afterthought on speculation maps. Okay, it's going to be Bill and Ted, and it's going to be the other show. Not this year.
No, not at all. Toss-ups. There's a lot of toss-ups.
Yeah.
You have to assume Academy of Villains will be back in some shape or form. And if some rumors are to believe, they actually have a 5-year contract, so this would be their last year of that contract, so they'd kind of have to be here unless Universal let them off the hook.
Right. They're popular.
I think they're coming back. I think they're going to be on a street stage.
Okay.
Specifically, Mel's.
Okay. Yeah, I think we could see him at Mel's. So then what ends up at Fear Factor?
You already know what I think's ending up at Fear Factor. So you can say it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Bill and Ted?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure.
So what does it look like? Do they tone it down? Is it going to still be the spoofing? Or are we going to get an original story?
It's going to be the same thing.
It's going to be the
hashtag Bill and Ted get canceled or something like that.
Yes.
They're going to take pop culture from... They're going to just stick with it? Or do you think that the creators of Bill and Ted 3 have more of a hand in this and write up something?
No, probably not.
No,
I doubt it.
I
think it's going to return to the way it was most recently.
Fair enough.
Spoofing pop culture, making some crude jokes, but nothing is over the line as like what got it canceled in Hollywood.
Could you imagine the backlash it would have if Bill and Ted came back and it was a completely different show? And it was just some sort of...
I think they'd understand that. If they bring back Bill and Ted, it's with the intention to please everyone who is really upset about it leaving. You don't bring it back and then give them like a family-friendly version
storyline.
of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're not gonna pay for that.
But HHN isn't a family-friendly event.
Exactly.
Well, HHN29 was arguably the most family-friendly it's ever been.
Correct, most family-friendly. It's still not...
So wait, that was considered family-friendly? HHN29?
Yes. Probably the most
family-friendly we've ever seen.
Ghostbusters, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like
nothing
that.
too gory, nothing...
An arcade.
Nothing too overly sexual. I know the go-go dancers.
Photo ops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was...
Sometimes it goes a lot further than that on the sexy side.
I wouldn't call it family-friendly, but it was the most family-friendly incarnation of the event, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. I mean, to me, like, I don't know, Sheltered Boy, new Haunt Boy, I just does not seem like a place you bring kids. You know? This seems like teens and up.
I don't think we're saying that they're going to allow, 10-year-olds. I think we think...
Well, they allow 10-year-olds.
They allow
They allow 1-year-olds.
Gearing towards 10-year-olds. I think the trend is to gearing towards teenagers, and there's a lot of backlash towards that. Do they continue to gear towards teenagers instead of gearing towards R-rated?
Well, are you comfortable putting Bill and Ted in Fear Factor?
Yes.
In that case, let's tie this in to what potentially happens on the Lagoon.
Okay.
So there's this large rumor that we've talked about many times and already on the show that Billie Eilish, and specifically in Orlando, would be coming to the Lagoon show. First of all, do we believe there's going to be a Lagoon show this year?
I think,
100%.
Yeah. there has
I
to
think
be.
it was such a hit. they
After
have
the
to.
success of
Yeah,
Marathon of Mayhem?
there's no way they don't bring a
How do you
Lagoon
not?
show back.
Exactly. Do we believe that Billie Eilish is going to be the headliner, subject matter, producer, whatever form she takes?
If she does, and we've debated it, if she does, I don't believe. The only way I could see it happening is if her music is featured in some sort of retrospective show. I don't think it's going to be all Billie Eilish storylines or all Billie Eilish. It's gonna be Billie Eilish music and maybe some of her imagery intercut with mostly the imagery of the event over the last 30 years.
I agree with you partially. And you may remember not long ago during the speculation aspect of the show, I was saying, I really believe a legacy. He truly thinks it's going to happen. I'm going to say it doesn't. No
Yeah.
Billie Eilish. I don't know, maybe it falls through or it's kind of just being tossed out there. I don't think we see Billie Eilish. I basically think we see a retrospective / Marathon of Mayhem 2 on the Lagoon this year.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we definitely seeing a
Something
retrospective.
nostalgia heavy for the
Yeah.
Lagoon again
Yeah.
would make perfect sense.
Yeah, something very similar to what we had last year with Marathon of Mayhem, just more nostalgic. Exactly.
And if we're not wrong if it happens to feature Billie Eilish music, right? Because it's still a
I feel-
retrospective show.
I feel like we should pick one or the other. We got to pick a side here.
Okay.
Billie Eilish or no Billie Eilish?
Okay, so you don't think there's going to be any
I don't think so.
I would hope. I mean, I don't care either way. If it's in the way that I envision it,
No,
it's
yeah,
a retrospective.
that's fair, but-
I think Billie Eilish can be featured in this event without ruffling my feathers.
Agreed. But is that going to happen? Or is she just not going to
Probably
be
not.
there?
No,
No?
yeah.
So we get a Billie Eilish list.
I think
Lagoon
it's
show.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Cool.
All right.
All right, so really quick, do you want to cover our entire map?
Yeah. How about you do it?
Okay. Yeah, no
take-
problem. So houses. We have Soundstage 22, The Conjuring. Soundstage 24, Tooth Fairy, splitting with Haunting of Hill House. Soundstage 25 will feature Candyman. The Men in Black tent, Dungeon of Terror. Sprung Tent 1, Scarecrow sequel. Sprung Tent 2, Body Collectors. Parade Warehouse is going to be an icon house, like a retrospective version of it, I would think we decided. The second Parade Warehouse would be Halloween 5, and we added the extra detail that they'd be showing the Halloween Kills trailer and
Yeah.
projection. And the Shrek Theater would be The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. For Scare Zones, Production Central featured an icon scare zone. New York, Seeds of Extinction. Hollywood, Terra Cruentus. Central Park would be a Halloween-themed scare zone that takes place in Cary, Ohio, I think we decided.
Right.
And then San Francisco would be Universal Classic Monsters. Our shows would be Fear Factor Stage hosting Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure and its triumphant return to the event. Mel's Street Stage would be Academy of Villains returning. And the Lagoon Show would be a retrospective show somewhat similar to what we had with Marathon of Mayhem last year.
What do you think, Nico?
You know, that all sounds good. Really, I mean, y'all really know that more than I do.
Well, we're not
really,
asking
when
you,
it comes to that.
We're not asking you as
To make
your opinion.
predictions.
We're asking you if this was the event that you had laid out in front of you.
Would you buy a ticket?
I mean, I'm going to buy a ticket anyway because of the level of quality. If you build it, they will come.
Does anything stand out to you that you'd really want to see, or
Yeah,
something you
if
think's
you-
kind of out there?
I still think Beetlejuice is a strong possibility, just due to it with its renewed popularity due to the Broadway show and things like that. That's just what I see, and maybe I say that because I like the IP of Beetlejuice, and I would like to see that in
Yeah.
another Orlando park again.
It would be
'cause
really cool.
You're not the only one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Duff doesn't care too
Nah.
much about it.
Yeah, I'd be whatever about it.
I would really like to see something like that. I mean, everything
It is
else
possible.
here. I'm not that big of a horror fan, to be honest with you. I do like the haunts and stuff. I think this is all good. From a completely logistic standpoint, I think them going 11 houses and being able to make this event too big to do in one night, I think is going to be the goal that they want to go to. It's going to like getting the 11th house, using up extra spaces, having 3 shows, the Bill and Ted, the Academy of the Villains, and the retrospective show in the Lagoon. That's 3 shows. You got to pick shows or you got to do houses. I think Universal really wants to sell more tickets to this event so everything can work and they can, make their money back, which I think they always make their money back for horror nights.
Oh, yeah.
Especially from like booze and stuff like that.
It is quite profitable.
But to get them to come back multiple times, I think is a very important to Universal. And we've seen Universal and other things sell multi-day tickets and want to get that thing and give them a reason to stay on property. They just built a new hotel. They want to fill that hotel all the way up. And what's a better way to fill that hotel up than it's like, well, I got to stay. I might as well stay another night and go to Horror Nights one more night for there. I really think they're going to jam-pack Halloween Horror Nights 30, and there actually might be more than what we see here, to be honest with you.
I think you might be onto something.
And I think we're going to see more IP than... a lot of this is IP. From what I've seen, is like
we split
IP
50-50, which is
We did.
the norm. Which a lot of people are actually guessing there will be more originals than IP this year, as it's an anniversary year. Most anniversary years, creative/A&D likes to heavily feature their older original ideas.
Okay. I mean, I can see that, but also at the same time, if somebody's writing the check and, giving the directive, it just shows, and there's just so many numbers to back up that IP anything is going to work. No matter what it is, if it gives people a connection to that, if they feel like that can sell an extra ticket than having an original house, it's going to be that. Because the Orlando fans, they're going to buy the tickets anyway. But it's getting the first-timers to go. Like, what's going to go there? I mean, Ghostbusters kind of got me to go there this year, to be completely honest with you. Even though that's not the house I enjoyed the most, I see that there. So I could probably see that. I think Sabrina is probably one of the hottest things that you could do that for that, because I feel like that fits in really well, and it's really going to work there. A lot of the other fan stuff, I mean, maybe because I'm just new to this and I don't know like the history and all that, I'm expecting to see more IP, especially if we get 11 houses. That 11th house is going to be IP. It's going to be like 6 to 5 or something more than that.
I can see
Is
that.
what
I
I can
see what
see.
you're
I can
saying.
see that.
I don't
Yeah.
agree with what you're saying,
But-
but I completely see where you're coming from.
Correct. I'm thinking of it more from like a businessman standpoint.
and that's
like,
important. That's an important
like,
aspect because that part exists.
Yeah.
So, to Nico's point, and I don't know if it's for Nico's point or against Nico's point yet, but I'm going to talk it out. So, Nico, are you aware the last couple of years they've been doing the buy a day, get a second day free ticket? They have actually been selling tickets. I believe it started in 2017, or was it? Or
might have
maybe
been
it was 2018.
18.
So
I think it was
2018, they did the buy a one-day ticket at basically kind of standard price, and you would get a second day
Yep.
for free. And in 2019, that was a ticket that they did as well, where they would try to get you to go back the second day. And then I believe in the UK they have just released the tickets. That BOGO ticket, buy a day, get a second day free ticket, has been announced. So, while I don't think it's going to be trying to drive the multiple day tickets, I do see that, to Nico's point, that them trying to push either come back down and stay a night and go a second night on your free ticket that you already have. You already have a free second night. Go another night to see all the houses, or do the other thing that makes us money and buy an express pass so you can skip the lines because you have 11 houses to hit now instead of 10, because I can see it happening. Of them this being more of just a money grab and less than when I first was talking about this, I thought it was more, okay, they didn't need to, the crowds weren't too bad, so the lines weren't too bad, people weren't complaining, there was no real guest service reason to have that 11th house. But I could see them maybe doing the 11th house to really try to drive express passes that way,
I
where
could
like
see that.
they're just, you
I could
can't,
see that.
there's not enough time
Or-
to get them all in.
or
play-
the tours and
Or
stuff
the
like
tours,
that.
yeah.
To play
exactly.
devil's advocate on that, on focusing just on the second night aspect, if they're already giving you the free ticket, are they going to invest more money to make you want to go a second night when you already have it for free? They're paying more money for something you already have. You're going to utilize if you got
Right.
it, and you're going to come and spend money there anyways.
But you're buying food.
Exactly.
That second night.
But the point is, you already have the second night. It's BOGO. You already
Are
have
you
the
using
ticket.
it unless you
Yeah,
didn't get to hit all the
You
houses?
probably are.
You think you're coming back a
Yeah.
second night?
I definitely think so.
I think it also sells hotel rooms.
It definitely sells hotel rooms.
Like
I agree with
endless,
that.
like at Endless Summer, like they have to fill that whole
Yeah.
resort.
Yeah.
And I think it will be filled if they continue to do like an 11th house. Like if you do it where you have to like plan your whole day, like your whole night is going to be all at Horror Nights. You can't just go there for a couple of hours. You have to do the whole thing to try to squeeze everything in. It's going to be so easy to make, like to sell room, especially like I think I said this during like our hot takes, is that we're going to see probably some more Universal Resort like perks for Horror Nights. I can definitely see
that.
something like that. Maybe a designated stay and scream area, or some. They can't
for
really.
resort guests.
Yeah, for resort guests. I think that would be like there, or yeah, like you let the resort guests go first for the stay and screams, and then you let like the other stay and scream goes.
As an annual pass holder, let me say, fuck that.
Would
But
you
carry
ever,
on.
to that point, do you think, Duff, that you could ever see them get to a point where, kind of like during the park, where the express pass was included in a night, if you long as you were staying at the hotel?
No.
You don't think they would ever?
Unless they had occupancy issues, no. They're not giving it out for free. That is a pricey pass. And it does sell out at times. I don't think they're handing it out for free.
Yeah.
Unless
Like,
they absolutely need people to stay in the rooms, I don't think they're going to face occupancy
they would
issues.
have to suffer. Like
Yeah.
what was like Portofino and Lowe's? What were their occupancy rates usually in October?
Pretty high.
Okay.
I want to say 80s.
80s?
90s to
Okay.
full. 80s to full.
Okay, that makes sense then. Okay, yeah. So I don't really see that being a perk added for there then.
No.
all right, that's our speculation map.
That's
do we have
our
anything?
official
Yeah,
predictions.
official
That's
predictions.
it. That's what we think is coming to HHN30.
Yeah, we had fun doing it. How hard are we going to pat ourselves on the back? And at what point do we, if, like, let's say, like, what, 2 things get right, we get a couple of things right, what we call this, like, yay, we did great. What's our bar that we're setting for ourselves?
I mean, honestly, I think if we hit 5 things total,
5 things total. I think, yeah,
like
okay.
not like kind of right, like nail 5 things. Like that's exactly what we said.
That's about
Like same
25%.
location,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say
everything.
that.
Yeah.
I think we go, damn, that was good.
So if we nail 5 things, so it's
Location,
location
and property.
and property, and then we'll buy each other a beer or something.
Oh boy.
Like
Yeah,
we don't
like,
do that.
Like we wouldn't do that anyways.
Sure.
And if you don't get it right, then they'll buy that.
Our
that-
listeners have to buy us a beer.
Let's not volunteer them for that. A lot of new listeners from our last episode, by the way. Hey, welcome. If you made it this far, this is
Yeah.
probably running really long.
Yeah. But we had fun doing it.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. We hope you guys stick around. We're doing this every week. This is just what we enjoy doing. We're going to keep doing it, and we're going to keep bringing you good content. Hopefully you enjoyed the speculation map and our predictions here. Also, congratulations to Dan. We're going to have to get the whole schedule set up to get to our Jeopardy-style final. Eric, Bruce, Natalie, Dan.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
See who wins the inaugural HHN 365 trivia.
Should we announce what the prize is?
No, not yet.
No, we're going to
No,
wait.
not yet.
Okay. But we have a prize. There is a prize. And it's going to be great.
It's great. It's fantastic. We might be biased, but that's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week, and we'll see you in the streets.